Hi, everybody. Today is June 2nd, and we are trying to restart the SIG architecture after KubeCon, and it's been a hard journey after KubeCon and the Memorial Day weekend and all that. So welcome back to the few of us who were able to make it. We have one agenda on the item, which is generics. Do we want to allow generics in 125? For 124, I think we just said, hey, don't use generics even if we are doing Go 118. We switched the compiler very late into 124 release. So we essentially told people, please don't use generics right now. And we are on 125, master is open for 125, and now is the time to figure out what is the best way for us to move forward with generics. Do we want to use generics in 125? Is there an approach that we would recommend? Where do we start? And what kind of things do we want to work on first? So that is the agenda on the table. Does anybody have firm opinions here?
I don't have firm opinions on yes or no. I do have a pretty firm opinion on take it slow. I think we should be careful, and I think I believe everybody here, from what I've heard said in the past, is probably on the same page. But like, let's understand what we're doing before we get too far down the path.
Right.
I think that PRs that switch to generics are suspect for performance considerations. Like, we should probably be checking that trade-off from everything I've found with them so far. I'm also wondering if this filters into things like the impact to external users beyond Kubernetes itself, like client library consumers. We would essentially force them to have to upgrade to at least 118. I don't know who decides that, but that seems like something to be concerned about. I imagine a lot of library users today are not actually strictly following whatever Go version Kubernetes has, and that's probably mostly been fine.
That's a great point. I mean, it sounds like we need somebody to take the initiative to write up, and maybe somebody already did, and I'm just ignorant. Write up a cap, or I don't know if it's a cap, but a policy document, sort of here are pros, here are cons. You know, don't use this in client Go, for, I don't know, 5 releases or something ridiculous, right? Like where do we set up those policies, and we can debate them. I think that's our usual pattern, and probably makes sense with this kind of decision as well.
For what it's worth, though, I just checked, and client Go's go.mod asserts that it is Go 118.
Yeah, I have.
People just use older versions if they want older versions of Go.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we should start with libraries for sure, but then I don't know whether libraries on the client side or on the server side before we touch the core of KK. Somebody was trying to do controller runtime, genericizing controller runtime. That would have been a good thing, which wouldn't have actually affected us as much, but would have given people something to try for folks who are writing controllers. So picking a project like that, where we experiment before we start making changes within KK, might be like a safer thing to do, I guess.
But isn't controller runtime consumed by millions of ecosystem projects?
Right. Still, just to catch you up, we are talking about generics and what are the pros and cons of allowing generics in 125. When do we want to do it, and what are the issues that we have gotten to know so far?
If I may, does it only include generics? Like, there is a PR for strings cut, for instance. And this is explicitly saying that strings cut will be used, but like if somebody just used it in their PR and we missed it, like, do we have any ways to control that?
No, we don't. So here is the deal, right? Like the root Go mod already asserts 118. So I think the strings cut might still be okay, because we are saying that we are using Go 118 in the root Go mod file. We can't hear you, Ben.
Sorry. Go will restrict language features by the value in the root module, but for like standard library things, at best, the Go version not matching the version used to compile just gives like a hint warning. Whereas like standard library functions, it's just whatever is available in the current Go version. It isn't nothing. I don't think there's any tooling to enforce this.
Yeah, you're right. So we don't have any tooling. The easiest thing to do is like, hey, go wild, right? Like switch everything to Go 118, and let's let's say that if somebody wants to use 125, it's got to be 118. There's no going back from that point of view.
If we wanted to force language features at a certain level, we could set the Go mod version. Like you don't have to keep updating it. I believe we updated it because Go format changes behavior, and we wanted that not because of the language version changes. We could revisit that change.
Yeah, I want to. So if we have to put in safety checks and like make sure that PRs are not going to break, I want to do it only if required. We already have too many of those, and just adding to the pile of verify scripts is not.
Well, no,
yeah.
I mean, like we don't. If we hadn't bumped the version in Go.mod, Go would check this. Even if you're running Go 118, it won't let you use generics if you have a lower Go version in the Go mod.
Yeah. So since we are already on 118, that's why we are talking about the generics, right? Like, so all the Go mods are in 118 already. So folks,
they are, but we could reduce them back.
Yeah.
If that is how you would enforce a check like that, I think that's the most appropriate way. I'm not sure we want to, but if we do want to restrict it, we probably should bump back below 118 in the Go mods.
Yeah, at this point, unless we have enough data to say, hey, don't do generics, I'm inclined to say go experiment, but you do small experiments and not big experiments. Like I don't want PRs that is going to change like everything in KK, right? Like it has to be focused, it has to be small, it has to be well contained. Those are the kind of criteria that I would say to somebody who wants to do generics. I'm definitely not looking forward to like arbitrary fixes like across the board. I would even say like start with staging as a guideline.
But back to Sergey's point, if we let people use things like string cut, we're already also requiring Go 118 in consumers if any of that code filters into like client Go. Have we had a policy about this before? I'm not aware of one.
No, we don't. So let's check the Golang sunset, the Golang version support.
Go keeps 2 versions supported. So whatever is the current version, and then the previous version, minor version, are supported. So 118 and 117 are supported.
Yeah.
The moment 119 is released, 117 goes out of support.
Right. And we don't know the timeline for 119.
We can't know exactly because it's like us, they get deferred dates and whatever, and they don't spin down the old one until the new one's out.
So looks like another 14 months 117 will be around. No. What is Dynas? What is this? Never mind. Hang on. I'm looking at the wrong information.
This site is really useful.
Okay, enough. Yeah. Okay, 9 months ago, latest.
I guess my question would be, what are the reasons to limit the use of the language features? And, is it we're afraid they're unstable? Is it that we don't know how to use them yet? Is it that we don't want to force things that consume our modules to run Go 118? Like, those are all three different reasons, and they may be three different answers for, there may be three different approaches to addressing each of those.
So for me, the top is cherry picks. It should be easy. If we do a lot of changes, then cherry
Yeah,
pick is
good
going to
point.
become a problem. Other than that, I'm fine. Like, if we tell people to update the versions of Go because they are vending in our stuff, like I'm fine with it. I'm fine with imposing that as a penalty to the users who want to go there. But my practical issue is with cherry picks.
So in that case, yeah, so guidance in that case would look like, well, for brand new stuff, you could use these things, but for existing bug fixes, don't. And until 124 is our oldest supported release.
I think we've already done some similar cherry pick not capable changes with things like the new net IP types. It seems like if we want to go with that reasoning, we should probably write a more general rule than generics that says, like, don't adopt new Go features until it's in all of our branches that are supported.
Yeah.
Or just not say that and let people use generics. The same as we did with like net IP.
Yeah, asking for that long, like asking for all stable versions to be on the same Golang, I don't think it's just.
No, I mean that you can't use a Go feature until it's available in our release branches. So because we don't cherry pick past a certain versions back.
Right.
It would slow things down quite a bit, but
so
it doesn't have to be like the current Go version. It would be, we shouldn't use features newer than whatever we're using in the cherry pick branches. I could see that being a reasonable policy.
Well, it also really only applies to things that you might want to cherry pick, right? If it's a brand new.
Yeah.
Well, but you won't
feature.
know, right? Because it'll be in shared code paths, and like we'll have to cherry pick bug fixes, right?
So what version of Go are we using in the stable branches now? Is it all 117 already?
That's a good question, and it's also a little bit difficult to pin down now. I used to just look at the Bazel rules.
Yeah.
So today, I guess that's a good question, right? Do we, like, if Go 116 is now out of support, like we can't be building our old releases with Go 116, right? So we have to advance them for the patch releases. So maybe it's not as much of a drag as we think. Right? We were already advancing, so you get to like the way that Ben stated it, right? I think would cover that. It's once we're using that Golang in all of our supported branches, then you can start using those features. That doesn't mean a year after, the first time we used that Golang.
So 122 is actually on Go 116, which is not a supported Go version.
Yes, and it's going to end in 2 months. Active support is going to end in 2 months, in August.
I don't. What is maintenance support?
I don't know.
I think this site's wrong.
Staring at it. I don't know who may pulled up this information into this form.
It ends when 125 comes out, right?
Right. Okay, Kubernetes releases end of, okay. So I go into kubernetes.io/releases and it says June 28th, 121 is end of life. And October 28th, 122 will be end of life.
So, I mean, currently we've been moving much faster than this. We've been jumping on new Go functionality like as soon as we upgrade.
Yeah.
Well, have we gotten anybody making a fuss? Like, ecosystem projects, are they upset about this? I haven't.
I think most of these changes wind up being internal. There are things like Go changing the formatting or like libraries code that we're using in implementation details of core controllers. Like I think for other reasons, we wouldn't be able to change most of these places because they would, like if we switch to a new standard library IP type, like that is itself a breaking change regardless.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I'm inclined to say YOLO, right? Like, yeah, it's just too much to think.
I think it should come down to if we care about the client library case. If we're fine with continuing on just saying like whatever, you should just use the version Kubernetes is using, then it should just be up to PR reviewers, approvers to make sure that we're making a good trade-off in that change. And I would suggest that probably should involve benchmarks in a lot of cases.
Okay. So how about we do this? Then you and me, we write it up and then we can put it to vote.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I don't know who we need to poke, but I'm looking for more input on like how concerned are we about the ecosystem impact of forcing the change.
So what we'll do is we'll write it up, we'll post it to dev at Kubernetes, and then we wait for feedback. If we don't get any feedback, then we do a lazy consensus and punch it.
Fair enough.
The reality is I'm not that concerned about it because they can use an older version of Client Go until they're ready to move, unless they want the brand new latest feature, API or whatever. Like, and even then they can use an untyped client. Like, there's workarounds for them, right? Like,
right.
And we have a SKU too, right? So it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone know if we've run into actual cherry pick issues from like Go changes? I know we've had other breaking cherry pick changes like removing Bazel.
Yeah, it hasn't been that bad. It's just that I'm worried. That's all.
Okay.
I don't have enough data to not be worried.
I mean, now we're discussing Docker shim changes. Like in Docker shim, there is a bug that may be critical. So like if we even decide to take it from 123, how do we do that?
Right. Yeah, that's a similar issue. Okay. So you want to take the first cut, Ben? Write a paragraph, and
Sure.
hack MD or something, and then we can collab.
So we're just looking for a Kubernetes dev post, not a KEP.
Yeah, no, yeah,
No,
it is just put it in some community SIG architecture thing somewhere.
Okay. It'll end up a PR in some SIG architecture file somewhere.
Yeah, community.
But, yeah, but not a KEP. No, we don't need a KEP.
Sounds good.
Not a KEP. Just one paragraph and then TLDR kind of thing. Okay.
Note in agenda documents. So feel free to use it.
Thank you. So that's all I had for today. Everybody's safe home and no issues.
Yeah, I heard you got stuck in Amsterdam or something for a while.
Yeah, one night in Valencia, one night in Amsterdam, and then I ended up coming home. So it wasn't too bad. Instead of Sunday night, I ended up on Tuesday evening.
Right. It's better than getting a positive COVID test and being stuck for 10 days.
Yeah. So, anything else you all wanted to talk about today? Going once, going twice. Well, I can, since we have Wojtek, we can ask, Wojtek, was there any other feedback on that KEP for resiliency?
No, I think what we are doing now is we are proceeding with those like smaller changes, like updates to the caps to the cap to require like more sophisticated testing plan, things like ensuring that approvers will pay more attention to stuff. And I think that the biggest action item is that we need to start gathering more data and more like, figure out some dashboards or metrics or whatever that will better show us like how big the problem is and if it's, and even more importantly, if it's improving. So if what we already did is actually bringing some effect and get back to it, like if it's not improving or even worse, getting worse. So
Well,
I think
I'll give
we
you
are
a little preview on our survey, our PRR survey. We asked the question of, is Kubernetes more reliable than it was a year ago? And that survey closes tomorrow, so hopefully I'm not polluting my sample. But it came in at like more than 75% saying yes, it's more reliable than it was a year ago. So that seems like improving.
Yeah. Okay. Rian, did you have any requests for the team here from the conformance side?
Conformance is all going well. I sent out a message to SIG node about ineligible endpoints that's been hanging for a while. So that's under control. And John, I've sent you direct an email just about some policy, if you can just have a look at that.
I saw that. I haven't looked at it yet, though. Sorry.
I thought I'll short circuit, get the right answer from you and then make the PR rather than make the wrong PR and then fix it.
Okay, sure. No, that's fine. I can take a look.
I'll appreciate some feedback on that. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Adams.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else. Tim, Allclair, did you have anything to talk about today?
Nope.
Thank you. So we have a new member, Donkle CEO. Did you want to introduce yourself? Okay. Thanks for showing up here for sure. Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone. See you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good day. Cheers.